the book, The Making of a Miracle, as we approach the 40-year anniversary. Immediately, this line down here, Mike, the untold story of the captain, brings to mind one of the many stories that are in this book that are shocking to me, and I thought I knew everything about the team. Let's talk about you being voted the captain. You ask OC, who did he vote for?
He didn't vote for me.
Didn't think you were going to make the team. You didn't vote for you. You voted for Schneider because he'd been on the 76 team. 12 guys from Minnesota. What are the chances that you were actually voted the captain?
I don't think I was.
But here we are.
It's never been a discussion. I remember, we had a vote, and the next day of practice, Sherb said, we'll practice tomorrow at 10. Mike, you're the captain, and that was it. And I thought, oh, that's nice. It wasn't a big deal to me. It was nice. I was very proud of it. But, Jack O'Callahan was a two-time captain at Boston University. Mark Johnson, Bobby Souto, captains at Wisconsin. Harrington Pavlich, captains at Minnesota Duluth. Wells and Kenny Morrow, captains at Bowling Green. Billy Baker, captain at Minnesota, along with, I bet you, Ramsey, Christian, Christoph, all captains of their team. So, there were 20 players in that room at the end. And I bet every one of them was a captain at some point. So it wasn't a big deal to me. It was nice. It was a great honor, but it didn't change anything.
Like a true captain, he singles out all these other guys. Another point you make in the book is that people didn't know how good your team was. 12 guys go on to play in the NHL. You talk about Ken Morrow winning 4 straight cups. Neil Broughton scores the cup clincher for the 95 Devils. On and on. Mark Pavlich, the only American to score 5 goals. But he said that when he looks back at the scope of his career, that achievement pales next to?
I remember reading that quote from Pav in a hockey journal, Hockey Magazine, and he said his assist of my goal in 1980 was greater and bigger than 5 goals that he scored again. I think it was against the Hartford Whalers that he scored 5 goals. But, Neil Broughton had 100 and something points in the NHL. Mark Johnson I would love to see Mark Johnson in today's NHL.
Me too.
The freedom that he would have.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane's a great player. Mark Johnson was kind of that type of player.
Sure. So
I just think that, we were clearly a lot better than people thought we were. And I think we caught people by surprise. And like I said, I think the conditioning, the training, what Herb put us through, clearly came to fruition at the end. And I remember, it was Craig Patrick was interviewed after, and someone asked him about the moment, and Craig said that team got exactly what they deserved, which was to win the whole tournament. Now,
well said.
That's kind of it in a nutshell right there. We deserve to win that tournament.
You say in the book we had gas in the tank, all those Herbies, which in the movie Miracle, there's that unforgettable scene. The next day, it's not in the movie, you beat the Norway team 9-0. So message sent, message received. How about the fact that because of that identity, you trailed in 6 of the 7 games, but in third periods, you outscored your opposition 16-3. What does that tell you?
It just tells me, again, how good a team we were and how the Soviets would wear teams down.
Right.
We wore them down.
Yep.
We were trailing 2-0 to West Germany. We were trailing to Finland. Herb always used to say there's a method to my madness.
Yes.
And clearly that conditioning and the skating that we did throughout the year. And every member of my team that I talked to said that was the best shape they've ever been in their life, from college, high school, and even NHL, their years in the NHL. And, Herb knew what he was doing. Those Herbies that we did. And, another thing I tell people, we beat the Soviets Friday night. We show up at the rink Saturday morning, and we're just laughing and joking and having fun, and all of a sudden Herb comes in and flips out. And other than Norway, that might have been the second hardest practice we had all year.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, why is he so pissed off? We just beat the Soviets. And he knew exactly what he had to do. He had to bring us back down to earth, and we did Herbies that day, and that Saturday morning, getting ready to play the Finland on Sunday. And he got our attention again. So he was brilliant as a coach, but he also had the type of players that understood what he was doing.
And they could handle the mental strain of it. I think of Mike Ramsey right away, who he said, you are an 18-year-old prima donna, and next year you'll be a 19-year-old prima donna. The first American to go in the first round. Your legacy as a team, here we are 40 years on, and that was a turning point. You were a hell of a college player. 98 goals at BU. Phenomenal career. You go to the Frozen Four every single year, and you didn't get the respect, the appreciation you deserve. Now, American players, college players get that. What else do you think is part of your legacy?
Well, clearly in 1978, when I got a call, 77, Americans, college players, really weren't given the opportunity to play. And it was kind of a Canadian game, which no Europeans, no international players, and again, college players, even if you were Canadian, weren't really given that look. If you didn't play major junior, he was like, okay, he can't play anywhere.
Wow.
And I think our team in 1980 kind of changed that philosophy,
yes,
the
indeed.
mindset. And I've talked about it before. I think in 1980 we opened the door, but today's players have knocked the door down.
Great.
And I watched Patrick Kane's, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichels, Brian Leach's, Pat LaFontaine. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
They brought the game to another level. We were pretty good in 1980. These players today are at another level.
When you think back on what is now called the miracle, Al Michaels obviously made that call at the end of the Soviet game. You'd lost 13 days earlier, 10-3. Then, 2 days later against Finland, he said, the impossible dream comes true. It seems like that might be a better description of it. And from reading your words in here, it doesn't bother you if people call it a miracle, but you don't think of it as a miracle.
No, I think miracle is a catchy phrase. It sounds good. And I think Al captured probably that moment with that phrase because nobody thought something like this could happen. I look at miracles as, what we see our doctors doing, saving lives, and firefighters and police officers and what they do to save people's lives. Those are miracles. Those are things, this was a hockey game. And yeah, I think it did capture, this, believe in miracles, yes. But the impossible dream comes true is probably even more appropriate because nobody thought, nobody thought we had a chance to win a medal, let alone win the whole tournament.
Right.
I guess we were supposed to come from anywhere from 7th to 10th place.
Right.
What the so-called experts predicted. But, we won the whole thing. So, yeah, the dream does come true.
How about the movie Miracle, which I know there were 2 movies made about it. The first movie, you were the tech advisor. The second one, Kurt Russell does this masterful job capturing Herb Brooks. But there's one unique thing in this book that stunned me. There's so many great nuggets in this. This is one that really jarred me. His speech, which has been so celebrated and venerated, and Jack O'Callahan and others have said it's the most moving pregame speech. And to you, it was not as impactful. Why?
I'm sitting there, and I played hockey with a football mindset. I mean, I loved football in high school. I had a great high school football coach, and you play just before you go on the field. You're waiting for that one nugget.
New Rockney, yeah.
Right. And through the out the door you go and onto the field, and you try to hit somebody to get yourself in the game.
Right.
So I was sitting there. I'm waiting for Herb to give us just this awesome, speech, and the locker room was deadly quiet. And our locker room was never quiet.
Right.
I mean, we had, Neil Broughton and Mike Ramsey. Ramsey was 18. Neil had just turned 19. They would have hot dogs and pizza in there, and Davey Christian. And I'm sitting there thinking, we had a game to play, and these guys would be sitting there like it was, they were going bowling or something. And I just remember the Soviet game being quiet, deadly quiet, and everybody's like focused. And I'm sitting there going, I'm waiting for Herb. What's he going to say? And I remember it this way. He came in, and he said, you were born to be a player. You were meant to be here. This moment is yours. And he walked out. And I sat there going, what the hell does that mean? Where's he going with this? And it wasn't until after the Olympic Games that it kind of, hit me, and I realized, what he had said and what it had meant. And there was a far deeper version and meaning to it. But at that time, I wasn't deep in thinking the way I was thinking after I'd heard it before. And I know the movie had, a little longer version.
Sure.
Maybe some of my teammates remember it differently than I do, which is possible. I mean, over 40 years, you try to write a book with Neil Bodette, and Neil and I have talked about this book for 2 years and went over the process of the whole thing. And I remember it this way.
Sure.
I'm sure my teammates may read it, and I don't know if they're going to read it because they probably wouldn't spend $30 to buy a book.
They should. It's amazing.
And then they may have it differently, but this is how I remember it.
People who watch this network know how much I love USA Hockey. This is the best. Of all the documentaries, all the books, this is the best. It truly has untold stories. You got to get it. Phenomenal. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.